Is e-commerce dying? Now, surprisingly, this is a question that we get asked pretty frequently. Most of the time it's by people who aren't in e-com, right? Because if you're in e-com, you know e-com is as alive as ever. But there are definitely areas of e-com that are definitely dying. And in this video, I really wanted to talk about the different areas that are dying, the ones that are thriving, what we see on the client side for our agency, products that are scaling the most, the ones that are the most successful, common themes of what we see does the best. So the first thing I want to talk about is drop shipping. Now, back in the day, drop shipping was like the gold rush. If you found a killer product, you could find that product and scale it over months to the point of it doing 6 to 7 figures per month in revenue. Then there'd be some kind of drop off, right? Because people would catch wind of it, other copycat stores would pop up, and all of a sudden the market would be a race to the bottom price wise. But you do that over and over again, you do that a couple times a year, you're looking pretty good, right? And that was happening constantly. The problem is over time, people learned quickly and news traveled fast. So more and more people started doing this. And at some point, there's a finite amount of products that you can run, right? Especially ones that are on AliExpress, Alibaba, wherever it is. There's not an infinite amount of products. So the market started becoming saturated. The other thing is going to be on print on demand. Now, depending on what you do, print on demand could be very valid, but most of the time it's not, because there's so many people who dominate the market space, especially with like actual printing, whether it's, coffee mugs, shirts, whatever it is. There's massive e-com stores that you're probably familiar with as tabletop names that have taken over those markets. And because they then built their own factories and did their own print on demand facilities, you cannot compete with their prices and you have to actually buy from them, which means you're still at a higher price point than them. And it means less profit, less scalability, right? So the areas that really it's easiest to source products are the areas that are dying. A big part of that as well is because there's so many courses out nowadays and there's so many young people who want to try to start the stores that take the lowest amount of money to start, whether it's drop shipping or print on demand. And then they just completely saturate the market and they don't really see the big vision, right? The future, right? They're not thinking about how high you can scale a store. What they're thinking about is the quickest way to make some money. So they're willing to cut profits a lot faster than the other people who are more dedicated to the longevity of their store. And that just absolutely destroys the market. So really, really recommend avoid the easy ways to source products. Generally, the easiest way you're going to source a product is going to mean it's a tougher market to be in just because there's going to be so much competition there. And the two areas, like I said, that reflects most in is going to be drop shipping and then print on demand. So that leads into what we see working the best, which is going to be actual product development. Now, that might sound pretty intimidating to some people, especially if you haven't started an e-com project, but it's actually really not too bad. Reason being is because you can still look at markets and figure out what products are doing the best, but you want to do it in more of a research-based way because it gives you the ability to avoid markets that are already heavily saturated or have too tough a competition to go against, right? And what it does though, is it allows you to pick a market that has less competition, and then you can actually pick the products from that market that you see other stores that are scaling out and do it better from them. And how you do it better than them is actually going to the manufacturers who are supplying these products and start a relationship with them, start getting samples, improve the product, put your own branding on the product, make the product better. If you find an area that's starting to bloom, I can guarantee you that you can order some of their products from competitors. You can kind of check them out in person, see what's good and bad about them, and then go to the manufacturers and do the things that these other stores aren't doing. And that's going to give you the upper hand. Now, once you have a product that's developed and you actually have something unique that somebody can't just go to Alibaba and pull off 100 units, 1,000 units, whatever it is, that gives you the uniqueness to stand alone on that market. And when you have that uniqueness, then it's just a matter of advertising and branding. That goes to the next part, which is a higher level of branding. Now, you could have an amazing product, but if you don't have a really great brand to support it, you're not going to be able to scale. So one of the things we always recommend is when you start scaling your store, or you're in, let's say, like low, mid 5 figures per month, the best thing you can do instead of pulling out your money and going to Miami and having fun is take that money and reinvest it back into your store and improve the branding. That means a better website, hire experts on CRO, hire experts on the email game, all these different things that will enhance your brand, get better assets, get better pictures, videos, whatever it's going to be, the things that are going to make your store stand differently compared to the others. Because if you can make your store look like the legit store of that product in the space that you're going after, you will scale like no other, because the other people are not willing to do that. The other people who have these stores that aren't putting their money back in the store, they're just pocketing it because they want the money, and they're generally fearful of scarcity, right? They don't want to, they know e-com, they know things can turn south really quick, and they're afraid to let go of that money because they might need it. But if you are bold and you take that money and reinvest it back in your own product, you will be able to continue to take market share and get to the levels that the other people who aren't willing to do that are going to get to. So highly encourage, I know it's a simple concept, but reinvest back into your store, eat the market share, and you're going to get to those next levels that the others aren't. The last thing is going to be the different types of strategies you use on the advertising side. Now, whether you've hired someone or you're doing it yourself, you want to make sure you're using someone with the background of success, or you're learning from somebody who has that. And there's plenty of content and different resources online to learn from, but make sure no matter what you're doing, you're learning from the right people, because it'll completely determine where your money is going, whether it burns or makes you more money. Now, we won't talk about strategies in this video because we don't want to make it too long. long. But if you want to learn more about what we do on the Google Ads side to get our e-com clients at 7 figures per month, make sure to like and subscribe. We constantly put out content and videos talking about the strategies we use every single day and how they change in the Google Ads space for e-com.